Hi everyone, it's been a few days since I've done a review, but I thought this would be another review that would be of interest to a lot of us, especially because it's all very nice and dandy to be talking about expensive IEMs or IEMs which are, and expensive is very relative, but I mean, for some people $80 might be nothing, and for others $80 might be a lot of money and might be expensive. So it's all very nice and dandy to be talking about, Yuan Lees and Hanas and Oxygens and what have you. But it's also, mustn't forget that there are those of us which cannot afford and want to know what it's like for the cheaper IEMs. So the single DDs, the basic 1+1 hybrids. And that's basically what I tried to do here in this small comparison. What is this comparison, and who are the players, and or the others which could have been included and I didn't put them in here, and so on and so forth. Anyway, the premise for this review was, as I mentioned, cheaper IEMs to cater for those of us which cannot afford, or maybe just starting out in this hobby, and the second premise was CVJ. So CVJ CSA, CVJ CSE, and the latest one, the CSK. And then I thought myself, well, why not add the ST02 and the CCA CSN into the equation? And why these particular IEMs? Well, first of all, they all have a commonality, which is they are all 1+1 hybrids. They all use the same BA, the 30095, in slightly different applications in the nozzle, or as in the case of the CSN, it's actually not in the nozzle, it's in the actual shell itself. Let me see if I can maybe zoom in here and try and show it to you guys. So there's the driver, and there we go. See, there's the BA there. So it's back here in a more, let's say, perhaps more intelligent way. And if you actually have a look and see the dynamic driver, or you can get a glimpse of the dynamic driver, it's the XUN dynamic driver, if I'm not mistaken. Then I think I'm not saying it the wrong way. Which is the dynamic driver which comes in the DQ6, the ZSA, ZAS, sorry, let's say the top of the line hybrid KZ at the moment, and it's a dynamic driver known for, especially in the ZAS, for amazing bass texture. I will be doing a review as well on the ZAS. I've meant to have done it already, but just things get in the way and time passes. And if there's one thing that the ZAS has very nice, is its bass. The bass has been very well tuned. The driver used is a massive improvement over the previous KZ dynamic drivers. The drivers used in the ZS10 Pro, the C10. Well, the C10 is actually a CCA, but anyway, you guys understand. The ZSX, all those are the older generation drivers, and the XUN is the newer generation dynamic driver, and it's a very, very good dynamic driver. There's really nothing that we can falter, in my opinion. So the commonality is that you all use the same BA, all of them with the exception of the CSK, sorry, use a 10mm dynamic driver. And then there's actually very interesting origins for all of these dynamic drivers. And by that I mean what? For example, if we take the ST2, and I've actually got two here, and there's a reason which I will explain to afterwards. Well, first reason is one is black, and I wanted to show you the black ones, and another reason is these are the transparent shell ones, which I actually think are the cooler ones. Anyway, in the ST2, this driver has its origins in the MT1. So the dynamic driver in here is the MT1 dynamic driver, which in my opinion is one of the better single DD, cheap single DD, budget single DDs you can get under $10. It's a very nice driver, and it's a driver which, well, it's an earphone which and the same thing goes with these ones, which lends itself very well to playing around. One thing is to, let's try some different nozzle filters. Let's play around a little bit with some vent filtering. Let's just open it up and see how it works and see if we can improve it and put some foam here and play around and so on and so forth. So one thing is to do that to a cheap IEM like this. Another one is to do that to a $400 or $500 or $600 IEM, and you open it up and oops, I think I just damaged it, and you're gonna cry. So it's something which either you are extremely comfortable with what you're doing, or then you don't really worry too much when we're talking about IEMs which are cheaper. So as I was saying, the ST2, which is the follow-up to the ST1, mind you, uses the MT1 dynamic driver coupled to a 30095 BA, put in the nozzle, and there we have it. The reason why I have two here is I left this one stock. This one, yeah, I played around with it, and the thing I did to it was actually put a Tanstrom oxygen, well, in this case it was actually a Tanya filter into the nozzle here. Let me just actually show it to you guys quickly. So there we go. Okay, so opposed to the standard dust filter, which is a metal one there. Let me just zoom this in so you guys can see. Kind of a metal mesh. Okay, yeah, there we go. Okay. Then we have the three brothers from CVJ, the CSA the older, the CSC the intermediate one, and this is the latest. So this is basically 218 to 19, this is 219 to 20, and this is 221. Okay, and they're all still available. You can still buy them, although they're already, some of them phased out. And these two in particular, they share the same driver as the CS1 from TRN. It's exactly the same dynamic driver. I've opened it up. I've opened up the CS1 and it's the same driver. I mean, I really cannot see any difference. So as far as I'm concerned, it's the same driver. I graphed them and they graph exactly the same as well, up to a certain point. Obviously then these having the BA will have a little bit more extension up top. So it's safe to assume that it's the same driver, which is a driver which has been around for a while. And if I'm not mistaken, this one in particular is used as well, or was used as well. The dynamic driver of the CSA was used as well on the TRN V90 and V90S. So all of this to say what? There's a lot of common parts here which are shared. And basically what happens, well, at least that's my opinion, what basically happens is they do a little bit of repackaging. Most manufacturers, at least, they do a little bit of a repackaging. They do a little bit of touching up on the sounds sometimes, and they brand it as a new IEM, new and improved, and so this and this and that. And well, that's not always the case. I mean, I can understand the financial part of it. I can understand that there's a need to constantly continue coming up with new things. The same thing goes with cell phones. You buy yourself the latest Samsung cell phone right now, and in 3, 4, 5 months time, it's already outdated because the newest one has come out, and that one is a little bit quicker, a little bit this, a little bit that, and obviously this one that you have now has no point of being. You don't need it anymore because your ego says to you, no, I need to buy the latest one, because if I don't have the latest cell phone, I cannot do my emails, I cannot browse the internet properly. I mean, come on, people. Look, I have a Poco F1. Perfect, works perfectly, amazing phone. Honestly, the one that I'm actually filming this with is a Realme, an X2 Pro. It's already almost 2 years old now. Perfect, fine. Would I like to have the latest? Maybe yes, I could. I suppose I could. Maybe I can afford it. I'm lucky enough to actually. I don't need it, so why would I go and buy it? And the same thing goes with earphones, which is our topic here. And not necessarily necessarily the latest one is not necessarily the best ones. And for example, if I am to use the CVJs here as an example. Out of the three CVJs, unquestionably the best one, the CSA. Unquestionably. It's the one that has the most coherent sound. It's the one that... Oh, just before we start, I'm not going to get into major details of the sound here. I'm going to give a simple overview. These are cheap IEMs. All of these IEMs here are anywhere between $12 and $18. So, when we're talking about soundstage and imaging and detailed retrieval and oh, come on, people, they do it nicely to a certain extent, but don't expect the world, because that's the reason why, you have a Toyota Corolla and then you have a Lexus. That's the reason why you have an entry-level Mercedes and then you have a Maybach. You pay to a certain extent for getting extra, and these are cheap IEMs, so don't expect the world out of them. Having said that, and excuse the rant, the CSA is the one that unquestionably, out of the three brothers here, has the most coherent sound. I realize, and I know that there were some issues with driver variants of earphone variants, and some fellow colleagues of mine actually have this earphone, and when they graphed it, it didn't graph like anything like mine, which I can only assume which there were some improvements made over the years on the earphone. My one, and I've got 3 pairs of them, so I can attest to what I'm saying, this one graphs almost identical to a CVJ mirror, which is a fantastic earphone that CVJ makes. Very underrated, not much hype, not much love being given to it, and it's an absolute bomb of a earphone under the $50 bracket. Fantastic. This thing graphs almost identical, and you can see it. Everything is very smooth across the mid-range, no real peaks here and there, no real aggressiveness. It's a very nice, easy listening earphone too. The CSC is the complete opposite. Very pronounced V signature, super aggressive in the highs. If you don't choose carefully what you're listening to, your ears are going to bleed, period. There's no they will bleed, believe me, you will die. I guess there are people that might like to die or that might have bleeding ears, but no. Oh, another detail which I forgot to mention is I used across the board always foam ear tips on all of these earphones, precisely to try and tame some of that possible aggressiveness. However, having said that, and I'm going to go back to the CSA with the silicone tips still maintain this smoothness. The foams just came and give it a little bit more of that smoothness. These things with the silicone tips, in my opinion, you either listen to them very low or then you will go deaf. That's it. So this was a step back, in my opinion, with regards to the CSA. The CSK, so the CSE is inferior to the CSA. The CSK, which is the latest one, has an 8mm dynamic driver. The shell has changed a little bit compared to the other ones. These use more, let's say, common shells, more regular shells. The shell has changed slightly. In my particular case, it fits beautifully in my ears. I've got no real complaints. In terms of the bass response, very nice. Very nice. It's got nice full bass, especially considering it's an 8mm driver. And the highs, they've again gone the extreme tendency like on the CSE, but they've tamed it down slightly, and there's also a big valley between between 5 and 9K more or less. Is a big valley there, which thank God it exists, because then I think this thing would also be a serial killer. It is much more listenable than the CSE, but in my opinion it loses out to the CSA. However, I do feel that with a little bit of tuning to this, and I actually will be playing around with this one like I did with the ST2s over there, with a little bit of tuning, and I think they actually could have placed the BA next to the dynamic driver and not in the nozzle, because that's where I think the problem lies. This thing has got a lot of potential. It does. It really does. And it's actually quite a pity that they didn't perhaps spend a little bit extra time, tuning it slightly. As for the rest of the other items, CCA CSN. What can we say about it? Fantastic bass, very nice bass. You definitely hear touches of the bass that you have on the DQ6 and the ZS and the ZAS, definitely. So it's got a very nice bass. The shell is monstrous compared to the others, but funny enough, it actually fits nicely. Build quality it's the best of all of them in my opinion. It actually looks very nice. It looks somewhat premium. It doesn't have a cheap look like the CSA. Yeah, it just looks cheap. I mean, what is with this kind of, I don't even know what to call this. It just looks so wrong. This like printing of CVJ on the shell, and the shell is transparent. I mean, make the faceplate also nice. Give it a little bit of a class feel. Just because it's cheap doesn't mean it has to look like it's cheap. You can make it look classy. And if CCA can do it, and it's got a nice, it seems like an aluminum, yeah, it's an aluminum faceplate with a resin type plastic shell, and it just looks the part. It looks the business. It's a 3-part shell, which is also common, like I said, with the DQ6 and the ZAS. So build quality is very nice, bass very nice. It just then, I don't understand how with implementing the BA on the side, next to the actual dynamic driver, how they were not able to tune it properly. I mean, tune the thing properly. With some stuff it plays nicely, with other stuff it's just absolute garbage. It just shouts and screams, and it's a pity. It's really a pity. With some vocals, male vocals, it's okay. With the majority of female vocals, it's just way too in your face. It's not a nice IEM to listen to for long periods of time, in my opinion, mind you. And then finally we have the 2 TRN ST2s here, the standard one, this one, the black one. Okay, just grab it here. So this is the standard one, and the transparent version here is the one that I swapped out the dust filters for the Tanstrom Tanya ones. In standard form, and I had already mentioned this previously one time when I actually listened to the ST2s and they first came to my possession, treble is a little bit too aggressive. Not CSC level aggressiveness, but it just, and you feel there's let me just put it to you this way. The MT1, which basically shares the same dynamic driver, eats this alive. It's far superior. However, with the Tanstrom dust filter, it becomes very nice. It becomes truly very nice. And out of all of these IEMs, these two would be my choices. Okay? CVJ CSA, very nice IEM, honestly, very, very nice. TRN ST2, again, very nice NTM. It's got the DNA of the MT1 in here in the dynamic driver, so you can't go wrong there. And all you have to do is just swap out the dust filters for the Tanya. I mean, hell, who knows? Tanyas are cheap as well. Maybe you bought a pair of Tanyas. Maybe you have it already and you have all those extra filters there. Take them, put them on, and you will be very pleasantly surprised. It's well worth that. And yeah, that's basically it. Just a quick recap. So all of them have very much V signatures, pronounced to various levels. The one that has perhaps the most flat or less V pronounced signature is the CSA. With that V signature comes various amounts of dips in the mid-range, which are more pronounced or less pronounced, so you notice it very well. The only one that stands out on here is the CSA, which doesn't have that. And the modified ST2, once you've actually installed the filters, the Tanstrom filters, the coherence of things above 1K becomes way more pleasant, and it just becomes a very nice IEM to listen to. CSC is I mean, and I like CVJ, mind you, I like CVJ, but that there is trying to kill you constantly. that definitely. The CSK, less than the CSC. It's a very fun IEM. You notice that valley that I mentioned above or before, sorry, in the frequency response. So when it comes to vocals and stuff like that, it might not be its forte, but if you're going to listen to EDM and rap and so on, these things rock. The bass in here is awesome, awesome, awesome. So all of these IEMs, like I said, have some commonalities, different ways of doing things, a slightly different tuning, and it's interesting to see that it's actually the older version here of this formula that's been the most successful. It's a pity that CVJ didn't perhaps just take this and improve upon it in the next version with a nicer shell, did something along those lines. And then the ST2s in standard format, they wouldn't be my first choice, definitely not. But if I was able to access the necessary filters to modify it, then definitely yes, that will be a thing to consider. I was going to add into this equation as well, just a quick thought before I finish. I was going to add the melody and the harmony, but their price, the melody and the harmony, the emerald and the melody, their price is slightly above this. So I thought it really wouldn't make any sense to do that, and I left them out. However, if any of you want me to give my thoughts in comparison with the rest, I will do it. That uses basically the same dynamic driver found in the KB KS1, which is a very nice single DD. I mean, out of the single DDs that you have below $20, I would say the EDX, the MT1, and the KS1 are probably the best ones. Every one of them does things slightly different. The MT1 more better mids, better vocals. The EDX is a total beast when it comes to bass, and then the KS1 kind of an in between, good bass, good vocals, kind of an in between, and it's then just down to your own preference. And and that's it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little take. I used for listening to all of this, I used my UP4, I used my Qdelix, I used as well my hi-fi hip deck, and yeah, that's it. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.